US News and World Report just released their list of the best diets in 2021, and today I'm sharing with you all the details. I'm going to show you which diet trends are out, which diet trends are hot, and what diets really do work. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, Erin here with Healthy Mom, Happy Family, and I am so excited to be here with you today because I know a lot of you have been wondering, what's the best diet to follow or what diet trends are hot? And in today's video, I am going to be revealing all of the details. So just one reminder, if you want to stay up to date on all the latest nutrition news, along with getting the latest healthy lifestyle tips and tricks and hacks, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. So hit that subscribe button, click on the notification bell, and you'll never miss any new tricks or tips. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be discussing with you the newest diet rankings, which ones came in at the top, as well as which were ranked as the worst diets to follow. And I'm going to explain to you the ins and outs of the top diets, as well as why they might be the best choice for improving things like health and weight management. And I'm also going to reveal which diets ranked at the bottom of the list so you can avoid them. And I'm going to be sharing with you at the very end my personal opinion as a registered dietitian and a certified diabetes educator on what diet is truly the best choice when it comes to long-term success. Okay, so let's dive in. Every year, US News and World Report releases their list in January of the best diets to follow. And they have all different categories. The best diet for diabetes, best diet for weight management. But the coveted ranking is really the best overall diet. And this year's winner has won for 4 years in a row. And it is, once again, the Mediterranean diet. Now, it really does deserve this top ranking, and I want to share with you today a little bit of the ins and outs of this diet plan and why it always ranks at the top and how it could potentially benefit you. Now, if you haven't heard of the Mediterranean diet already, and you probably have, but even if you haven't, you're probably at least familiar with some of the principles of it. See, this diet is really based on the dietary habits of the people that live in countries that are around the Mediterranean Sea. So when they look at how people in this area of the world eat, they tend to eat diets that are really rich in a lot of produce and a lot of whole foods, a lot of fatty fish and healthy plant-based fats like olive oil. And when you compare that to other parts of the world, like in the US, where we eat diets that are really processed and have a lot of added saturated fat and sugar, you can see their dietary habits are different. And it's believed that these dietary habits are why people in this part of the world tend to have less occurrences of heart disease or type 2 diabetes and even certain cancers. So when you're thinking about the Mediterranean diet, okay, and what is it? The one thing I want to kind of cut through the confusion is we use the word diet a lot, and many of us think diet means a weight loss plan. But diet just means a style of eating, okay? You could be on a fast food diet. It's just a style of eating. So when we say the Mediterranean diet, this is just really a style of eating in a Mediterranean way. It really is not a diet in the typical sense of there's no yeses and no foods and lists of what to eat and what to avoid. There isn't set rules and set portion sizes. And that's another reason why it tends to be beneficial, because it's a style of eating. It allows you to make a gradual shift in your eating habits over time. And that gradual change is why it tends to be one of the easiest diets to follow and to stick with. And that's part of the reason why it leads to health improvements, because consistency is really what brings about some of those biggest benefits. If you can follow a meal plan consistently, you can make dietary changes you stick with, you start to see results. So I know a lot of you, when you look at diet rankings, you're really thinking, how can this impact me if I want to lose weight? So let's talk about the Mediterranean diet and weight loss. All right, for many years, I've really been recommending a lot of the principles of this diet to my clients that I work with who want to lose weight. And that's because there's a lot of studies on the Mediterranean style of eating. So this is eating a lot of whole grains and fresh fruits and vegetables and healthy plant-based fats. What they find in this style of eating is that it helps to lower waist circumference. Now, waist circumference, and you might not know this about me, but I am a huge advocate on paying attention to your waistline, because our waist circumference is really a measurement of how much visceral fat we have. So visceral fat, what we call belly fat, a lot of us think about belly fat and we want to get rid of it for vanity reasons. But this one is actually pretty dangerous because it hangs inward below, it kind of goes behind the abdominal wall muscle, and it wraps all our organs like a blanket, and it's metabolically active. So it's increasing inflammation in the body, and that's why when you have a wide waistline and you have a large amount of this belly fat, it can really cause an increase in the risk of type 2 diabetes. It raises insulin resistance. It can elevate blood pressure. So any eating style that reduces waist circumference is going to be beneficial for health. And that's one of the things the Mediterranean diet, the Mediterranean style of eating allows. So if you want to lose weight and you want to shrink your waistline, it's benefiting you there. But the biggest benefit that comes from shrinking your waistline is really all of the health benefits it offers. Now, the reason the Mediterranean diet achieves the ranking of best overall diet is because they're really looking at what type of eating patterns promote the best health benefits. And so when you look at this diet, it's promoting a large variety of nutritious foods. It's really giving you portions and times to eat that work for your individual lifestyle because there's no set rules or regulations. That's part of the reason why it tends to rank at the best. Now, the Mediterranean diet, it doesn't just promote shrinking our waistline. It doesn't just help us get rid of visceral fat. There's a lot of benefits that come from this style of eating. Now, one of the things I love about it is it promotes a large variety of nutritious foods, but it really doesn't give you a set guidelines and portions. It doesn't tell you have to eat at this time of day or that time of day. So it fits into most of our lifestyles because you can really use these guidelines and tweak them to use them how it works for you. And that can bring about a lot of health benefits. Now, when we think about the principles of the Mediterranean diet and why it promotes health, and I think when you think about these principles, you'll see it makes sense. Now, for one, it promotes a lot of high volume, lower calorie foods, so that's where it can benefit for weight loss. It's promoting fiber-rich foods. So we know that eating a diet rich in fiber not only helps us lose weight, but it can bring down cholesterol levels, it can improve blood sugar levels, and improve heart health. So that's where we see the biggest health benefits. And also because you're eating less processed foods, you tend to get fewer cravings. When there's less added sugar in the diet, we tend to crave less sugar. When there's less added sodium, we tend to crave less sodium. And then of course, the biggest benefit to me is there's really no restrictive guidelines. It's really focusing more on eating intuitively and being more mindful. And those things we know lead to long-term weight loss success and long-term dietary compliance. And I think it's also really important to note that this diet also ranked first in the easiest diet to follow, and it was also the plant-based winner as well. So we know that there's a lot of benefits to this style of eating, and when you think about it being the easiest to follow, that's part of the reason it wins so many categories. It also tied with the best diet to follow if you have diabetes, and I'm gonna make a whole nother video about that too. So there's a lot of benefits to this style of eating, and it really wins out across the board because it works for so many of us, and the guidelines and principles are pretty easy to follow and to add into pretty much any lifestyle. Okay, so we talked about the Mediterranean diet winning best overall diet. Now I want to share with you what was the best diet for weight loss. Okay, so we'll look at the rankings for that. Now, before I reveal the winner, I want you to think about what comes to mind when you hear the word diet. Okay, for many of us, we hear diet, we think weight loss. And the word diet, like I mentioned before, it's really just a style of eating, okay? It doesn't mean that your type of diet, you could have McDonald's diet, you could eat the donut diet, it's just a style of eating. It doesn't always translate into health, it doesn't always translate into weight loss. So the Mediterranean diet, it won the best overall winner because it can have so many health benefits, but it actually wasn't the winner for weight loss. And that's probably because it doesn't have stringent guidelines and portions when it comes to calorie regulation. So the winners for best diet for weight loss was a tie between the Flexitarian diet and WW, which is formerly known as Weight Watchers. So I want to dive into now what are those two diet plans and why do they work for weight loss, and would they be the best weight loss plan for you if your goal this year is to lose weight? Okay, so first let's talk about the Flexitarian diet. Now, if you're wondering what that is, think about the word flexitarian. It's really a blend of two words, flexible and vegetarian. So the premise of this diet is that you can eat a mostly plant-based diet and incorporate animal protein from time to time when you're in the mood for it. It gives you that flexibility. And to me, when you look at a diet that's flexible and it doesn't have rigid rules and regulations, that's a winner to me, because if it isn't flexible, you're not gonna follow it. And we know that the most important aspect to success is consistency. So that's why I really like this plan. Now, when you look at choosing a meal plan and what you want to choose for your own needs, I think it's really important that anytime you're choosing a diet, you look at something that is going to focus on what you add to the diet versus take away. And that's really the mentality of the Flexitarian diet. It's showing you all the foods you can add. It's not really focusing on things to avoid. And that's a much better mental state to be in, because when you're focusing on things to add, you feel like you just feel more satisfied. You don't feel restricted anymore. If I told you you need to avoid this, this, and this, all of a sudden you want those foods and that you start to get cravings. And so this diet really avoids that. So what do you eat on the Flexitarian diet? Well, the plan really focuses on a lot of non-meat protein sources. So you want to get plant-based proteins like beans and pulses, but it does incorporate things like eggs and low-fat dairy as well. And then it combines this with trying to get in more fruits and vegetables and whole grains. Now, because it's a flexible plan, there's no off-limits foods. And like I mentioned before, that really takes away the guilt and the restriction that can happen with so many diet plans. So you're eating more healthful foods, you're getting more fiber, and we know that when we eat more fiber, we tend to feel more satisfied on fewer calories, but it takes away that restriction, which allows you to stick with it. And that's why it's a winner for the best category for weight loss diets. Now, the second winner in this category is what's called WW, and we formally know that as Weight Watchers. And this plan too, when you look at weight loss plans, it pretty much always ranks towards the top. And that's really because it has a lot of clear-cut guidelines and it focuses on that all foods fit philosophy. Now, the other nice, unique part about WW is the community support and the accountability. And that's one of the reasons it tends to be successful for a large amount of people. Now, there's a new program that was just released by WW called the My WW program. It just came out the end of 2019. And they tout this as being the most flexible program yet. Because it's still using the old point system, which really assigns a point value to every food and beverage based on the nutrition information. So how many calories it has and the fiber content, the nutritional value. But this new style, the My WW program, it goes a little bit beyond that. It has 3 different ways to follow the program. So based on the member's lifestyle and their food preferences, they get matched to these different programs. And so that more customized approach is why they tend to rank this as a diet plan to follow. Now, it is still a diet plan. It does have set guidelines, but it is more customized to your lifestyle. So that is why a US News & World Report selected this at the top of the list when it comes to weight loss plans. So what about the low carb diets? Are you wondering what happened to them? Now, if you're a fan of the keto diet or you like to use low carb diets for weight loss, you might be wondering where these diets rank and why they didn't get that top spot for weight loss. So when you look at the report that was released for US News & World Reports, they ranked diets in all different categories. And there is a category for the best diets for fast weight loss. And in this category, you're gonna find that there are some very low calorie diets like the HMR diet that took the top spot. And then the Atkins diet ranked at number 2, and the keto diet was sitting at number 4. Now that's because these diets do promote rapid weight loss. But it's important to understand that yes, they ranked for the best fast weight loss, but they didn't rank for the best weight loss overall. And that's because these plans work. You lose weight quickly. But because they're so restrictive, many times you can't keep the weight off. You go back to your old habits and the weight comes back on. It's also really important to understand, especially when it comes to low carb diets, what kind of weight you're losing. So when you cut carbs out, you do lose weight very quickly. But that's because the glycogen stores in your muscle, they hold on to water. And so when you cut out carbs, your body needs the glycogen from your muscle for energy. So you use up those stored glycogen reserves, you lose the water weight. And so the first 2 weeks, you tend to lose water weight rapidly. It's not always actual fat mass. So yes, you lose weight, but it's not always the type of weight that you're looking for. On top of it, because these diets are so restrictive, many times you follow them for a month or 2 months and you go back to old habits, so the weight comes back on. And that's when we look at the research on low carb diets and very low calorie diets. They do work, but when we look at long-term success, a year out, 2 years out, many times they're not ranking at the top because a lot of people are gaining the weight back just because they're too difficult to stick with long-term. So what's my top pick of the best diet for the year? Well, first, I think we want to talk about intentions. Okay, because I know many of us, we hear that word diet and we are so focused on the idea of weight loss. And yes, weight loss can be a goal. It's a perfectly fine goal to have, but it never should be your only goal. Because the thing is, the number on the scale just doesn't matter. The number on the scale does not define our health. It doesn't define our energy level. It really does not matter. It doesn't even show us body composition. What matters when you look at diet is health, and we want to see improvements in health. You want to see that your dietary choices are improving your energy, they're improving your sleep, they're lowering blood sugar and blood pressure. That's what really matters. And those things are so much more important than just weight loss. So when you're focusing on the best diet, my goal is really to have you focus on a holistic approach, a diet that's going to help you achieve your best self, feeling your best, being at your healthiest, and then sure, maybe it improves the number on the scale too. And that's why I do think that Mediterranean style of eating and the Mediterranean diet really does earn their top diet approach, because it works for most of us. It's a flexible way of eating, it's not a rigid diet plan, and it promotes optimal health. Now, would I say that that is my pick for top diet? Actually, no, because there really is no such thing as the best diet. Every single one of us is an individual. We have individual needs and goals. We have individual food preferences and beliefs, and our lifestyles are different. The time we have to eat and what access to food we have, or even how to prepare food, it's different for all of us. So there will never be one diet plan that is perfect for every single person. I think when you look at the top ranking diets, Mediterranean diet, we look at the Flexitarian diet, and there are guidelines that we can pull from all of them that can encompass a healthy diet. Increasing whole and unprocessed foods, adding more fiber-rich foods to the diet, getting more plant-based proteins and plant-based fats, and then of course cutting back on added sugar in the diet and getting less added sodium and less saturated fat. Those guidelines, it doesn't matter what you're following. You don't have to eat a Mediterranean diet or a Flexitarian diet. If you just start incorporating some of those small changes into your eating style and your eating patterns, that's what's going to help you to achieve your health goals. Because those small changes, you won't feel overwhelmed making them. You can make one at a time and build upon it. And less overwhelmed means more likely to stick with it. And that's going to start to propel you to achieving your goals. You start to feel better. You start to experience less cravings. Your energy goes up. Your physical activity goes up. And with all those things together, we start to see blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol levels all start to come down. And body weight can come down too. So there really is no top diet. You can follow a diet plan. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you do choose to follow a diet plan, I highly encourage you to follow one that you know can be a lifestyle that you can follow long term, and not a quick fix that you're going to go right back to old habits and lose all those results. But I want you to know that diet is just an eating style. You do not have to follow a set prescription diet to achieve health. You just have to make those little tweaks along the way, be consistent with them, and that is what's going to bring you true success when it looks at improving health and losing weight. So let me know, what diet plans work best for you? Have you made certain dietary changes that you noticed gave you great results? Comment below and let me know. And if you liked today's video, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for joining me.